There are so many reasons that make us fall in love with football over and over again. From some truly scintillating team and individual performances to young talents to moments of individual brilliance, we're truly spoiled by the game. One thing that we haven't mentioned here is the individual moves that made many players famous, from the Cruyff team to the roulette to the panenka. Today we'll look at some of the most famous signature individual moves in the game's rich history. We start off with one of the greatest footballers and coaches of all time. Johan Cruyff, the legendary Ajax and Barcelona player, was a joy to watch on the field. His ingenuity in moments is something that is rarely seen in football even today. However, there was one particular bit of trickery that was simply phenomenal. The Cruyff Turn is what a lot of players aspire to execute perfectly. It requires a player to look to cross or pass a ball before dragging it behind their planted foot with the inside of the foot that is being used to defenders. This move was seen for the first time at the 1974 World Cup and can be used to devastating effect. Up next, we have a move that requires skill, control, and the sort of flexibility that would give you a gig at Cirque du Soleil. Back in the day, Ronaldinho was the most skillful player you would pay to watch. The Brazilian was made from something different because most of the things he did on the pitch were otherworldly. It is very upsetting that his peak wasn't long enough because that guy had moments. Nonetheless, during his peak, the Brazilian was a sorcerer and would do things that would leave many a jaw dropped. One of his trademark moves was called the Elastico, a dribbling move that fooled a defender into thinking that he's moving on the other side only to be unwounded inside out. Ronaldinho would push the ball away from the defender with his right foot and would then quickly move the foot around the ball before going past him. A lot of players tried to execute the move, but it just doesn't look as good as it did when Ronaldinho did it. Being one of the best midfielders of your generation means that you need to have a trademark move. While Andres Iniesta made a name for himself due to his accurate passing, composure, and dribbling, there was one move that always stood out. The Croqueta was used a lot by Michael Laudrup, but Iniesta refined it further. The move happens when the player plays a ball across their body with the inside of one foot and then plays it forward with the other foot. And the former World Cup winner used this move quite a lot throughout his career. One of our upcoming signature moves involves a skill that requires a lot of precision, but before that, let's talk about a move that Cristiano Ronaldo made famous. The life of a fullback can be sad and lonely if he has to face a pacey winger all the time. Cristiano Ronaldo was quite a fearsome winger during his younger days. One of the moves that he used to perfection every time was the chop. The signature move is very unique in a way that it exploits the momentum of the defender and allows players to change direction and allow themselves sufficient space to choose their next move. While he was never one to care for fancy stepovers, it never stopped Messi from redefining football. One of the greatest players of all time, Messi is also quite a dribbler and uses his subtle trademark body feints to deceive defenders. He does this in motion and also when he's static. One of the most notable moments through this skill came during the 2015 Champions League semi-final against Bayern Munich and in a game against Athletic Bilbao. Now, this move is something a lot of players do with perfection, but there are two players who started this. The first one was Diego Maradona, and then Zinedine Zidane perfected it during his time at Marseille. This is why the roulette is also known as the Marseille Turn. It involves dragging the ball back from one foot, spinning the body, and then dragging it back with the weaker foot. The move can do wonders when a defender is closing down on a player from his strong foot side. In fact, the faster you do the move, the more difficult it is for a defender to win the ball from you. This move also helps draw fouls because of sudden changes in the direction of the body and the ball. Okay, this move is pure art. Many players have managed to perfect the art of curling the ball from the inside of their foot, but very few have been able to do it with the outside of their foot. There is one player who has used this move a billion times. Ricardo Quaresma was always a trickster on the field and had an uncanny ability to use the outside of his right foot to cross and even attempt screamers. Many times he scored goals through the trivela. And this is something Luka Modric does well too. The Croatian uses this move to give himself more passing angles. We all know that Angel Di Maria prefers to use only his left foot, and who can blame him? It has never impacted his performances. But he does use a bit of his right foot while doing the Rabona. In this move, he simply pivots his weaker right before the ball and uses his left foot to take aim. A lot of players have used this move to devastating effect, including Eric Lamela, who has scored a few goals through this move. Okay, so this move was signed on by Xavi, and you can call it a rather simpler version of the 360-degree turn. What you do is that you turn while holding onto the ball with such close control that it becomes nigh impossible for the defender to win back possession. Through this move, Xavi created a lot of passing options for himself, while leaving defenders scratching their heads. Thierry Henry is a legit OG when it comes to skills. The Arsenal legend made the Premier League his own stomping yard. And wow, what an amazing player he was. The Frenchman scored goals for fun, and a lot of goals were as outrageous as plots of most movies these days. One of Henry's signature style was making a fake pass with his right foot before making an actual pass with his weaker foot. By the way, he did not really have a weak foot. Even though he retired a long time ago, you can still see Henry performing fake passes in testimonial games or charity games. Style never goes away. So these were 10 of the greatest signature moves in football history. Let us know what you think, and maybe tell us about a few moves that we haven't covered. Make sure to come back for more content now that you have turned on your notifications.